This is the Meiji Great Sanriku Tidal Bore Film Slide Edition, a set of 12 slides. This is a map of the Sanriku east coast affected by the tidal bore. South is to the right. This area became known as Sanriku after this Meiji Great Tsunami. The dotted line on the land is the Tohoku Railroad just after it was opened. There is no railroad on the coast, and the number of roads is limited as well. As a result, providing relief after the disaster was extremely difficult. This shows the disaster area. Miyagi Prefecture lies from the south to Keisen-numa. The number of dead was approximately 3,500 persons. Beyond Keisen-numa lies Iwate Prefecture. Along this coastline, there were some 18,000 victims. Up to Taneichi is Iwate Prefecture, and from Minato it becomes Aomori Prefecture. There were 300 deaths in Aomori Prefecture. Enfolded in the massive wave, the entire town of Kamaishi is lost. It is said that the preceding earthquake was unusually mild, while the following tsunami was unusually violent. Because it was what is called a tsunami earthquake, hardly anyone sought refuge in advance, resulting in many deaths. This tsunami struck on June 15, 1896. According to the old calendar, it was May 5th, the day of the boys' festival. To make matters worse, it was past 8 p.m., a time when many families were celebrating together at home. The earthquake magnitude was 2, a rather mild one. As a result, no one took any precautions. Only when the tsunami was directly approaching did anyone try to escape. Being struck by such a huge wave, there was no possibility of escape. Of the 5,300 people in Kamaishi, 3,300 lost their lives. Of the dead, only 1,000 bodies were recovered. The rest were swept out to sea, their whereabouts unknown. Jugohama Village, the sad circumstances of the tragic death of one family. This has as its subject the conditions of Jugohama Village in Miyagi Prefecture. Could that be Arayashiki coming face to face with the open sea? The tsunami rose up to a height of 10 meters, and of 16 buildings, 15 were swept away. Although it has been said that the tsunami rose to a height of 10 meters, it surpassed even that. The highest established Meiji tsunami reached a height of 38 meters in Ryori, Shirahama, Iwate Prefecture. Even this, however, was not the highest in Japan. In 1771, a tsunami reaching over 80 meters in height is said to have struck Ishigaki-jima in Okinawa. A mother swept away while embracing her child. Someone clinging to the roof of a house as it is swept away by the wave. What will become of these people? As for the 588 people in Funakoshi, including Arayashiki, the record shows there were 27 dead and 80 injured. Sato Nobuyasu broke a door of ward in the Obagi Prison by a great rock. There was a prison in the Obagi area of Jugohama Village. At the time of the tsunami, there were 195 inmates and 34 guards. Around 8:20 p.m., there was a booming sound followed quickly by the tsunami strike. At that time, the manager and 2 guards were on duty. One of them succeeded in opening one of the prison wards, but could not open another because water was already flooding in. A guard by the name of Sato was a master swimmer. Fortunately, one of the lamps had not been extinguished, and he was able to find his way to safety, avoiding danger by the lamplight. He used a paving stone to break through the ward door in order to aid the inmates. Thanks to the efforts of this guard and the one remaining lamp, the number of victims was minimized. Only 2 were killed, with 2 missing. The excavation of the dead at Tadaide, Otomo village, Keisen-numa. The title refers to Keisen-numa, however, it is actually Keisen-gun in Iwate Prefecture. The photo is the same as that used by a special edition of the Tokyo Shimbun dated July 15, 1896. According to the explanation of this newspaper extra, this is the place to put the remains of the dead at Tadaide, Otomo village, Keisen-gun. The dead are awaiting someone to come and claim their bodies. If no one claims them, they will be temporarily buried. In Otomo village, the population was 778 persons before the disaster. Of them, 210 were dead. In Tadaide alone, there were 181 persons dead. The number of dwellings in Tadaide was 56, of which 52 were swept away. Sannohe, destroyed fishing vessels forced up on the mountain. This location is undeterminable. There is a place called Sannohe in Aomori Prefecture. However, it is not on the coast. Perhaps it has been mistaken for the coastal town of Misawa. Various things which have been either swept out to sea by the tsunami or forced up onto the land. Immediately following the disaster, even if efforts are made to save those who have been swept out to sea, the boats have been washed ashore, making them unusable. There was no alternative but to watch those out at sea die. Of the 7,500 boats in the Iwate Prefecture fishing fleet, 5,000 were lost in the tsunami. In Miyagi Prefecture, there were 9,800 boats, of which 1,200 were lost. Severe damage to the houses of Shimo Kawame, Kamikita-gun. This location is undeterminable. It may be Shimoda Town, Kamikita-gun, Aomori Prefecture, which is some distance from the ocean, or it may be a settlement along the coastline, running from south to north and divided into districts known as Kawame. The houses on the shore have been washed away or destroyed on land. In the case of those on land, people have been crushed beneath them. At that time, they did not have mechanical power to assist them, making rescue very difficult. According to statistics, a total of 5,630 residences were swept away in Iwate Prefecture, 1,130 in Miyagi Prefecture, and 530 in Aomori Prefecture. The injured in Otomo village, Keisen-numa. This is also mistaken for Otomo village, Keisen-gun. At the time the tsunami struck, there was a branch of the Red Cross in Miyagi Prefecture. However, in Iwate Prefecture, It was only the Iwate Prefectural Red Cross Committee. The tsunami provided the occasion for the establishment of a Red Cross branch in Iwate Prefecture and for the initiation of full-scale training of nurses. After the disaster, medical treatment was provided by the Red Cross, the military, and by local physicians. According to a newspaper article dated June 30, a temporary Red Cross hospital was set up at Keisoji Temple in Otomo Village. There are 2 physicians, 1 nurse, and 16 patients. In addition, over 100 people have visited the hospital for treatment, keeping the staff very busy. Patients suffered from blows, contusions, respiratory ailments, and gastrointestinal ailments in that order. No treatment could be offered, however, for those who had been swept up in the tsunami and swallowed foreign matter into their lungs. Two corpses at the Toni village. According to the official record, of the 2,535 people living in Toni village, 1,683 died. Some 35 others were seriously injured and 40 were slightly injured. In the Toni Hongo of the Toni village, of 166 residences, 165 were swept away. Of 878 people, 766 died. Those that were saved were those who had gone out fishing, or on that evening had gone somewhere else. Of those who could not bear the circumstances, some moved to higher locations, but since it made working along the beach inconvenient, eventually moved back to locations along the shore. After the Meiji Great Sanriku Tsunami, 43 settlements moved to higher ground. However, almost all of them eventually moved back down to lower areas. And 37 years later, those settlements suffered the Showa Great Sanriku Tsunami. A wretched spectacle at Okirai. This is a photograph taken after the tsunami at Urahama, located at the end of the bay at Okirai Bay. Of the 103 residences there, 29 were swept out to sea, and of 828 people living there, 122 people were killed. On the north shore of the same Okirai Bay, the destruction at a place called Sakihama was particularly bad. 10+ residences were located and higher locations were spared. However, 75 other homes were swept away, and 214 people were killed. There is a record remaining of a horse on the roof of a house which had been swept out to sea at Okirai Bay. The horse survived on the roof for 3 whole days and was eventually rescued. People who had managed to climb upon rooftops were also rescued. After this tsunami, people thought it best to build homes whose roofs they could easily climb upon. Even now, this wisdom has been adopted in the Nagoya city ordinances as part of their high tide countermeasures. The excavated corpses after the disaster at Kamaishi town. The post and telegraph office in Kamaishi town was swept away by the tsunami, making it impossible to contact others. Support from the distant mountain areas did not arrive until 6 p.m. the following day, 22 hours after the tsunami had struck. It was necessary to dig out bodies from the sand, which had been carried off by the tsunami or buried beneath the destroyed houses. From June 18th through the 21st, more than 500 volunteers worked to dig out the bodies, discovering some 1,036. The tsunami does not only bring water, it also pulls along sand and fragments of boats and houses. During the Meiji tsunami, many people were buried in the sand at Taro village. A newspaper at the time wrote that it was as though people were preserved like pickles in the sand. During the 1854 Ansei Tokai tsunami at Irima in Minami-Izu Town, Shizuoka Prefecture, an 8-meter-high sand dune was left after the tsunami struck. This is the record to date in Japan for the highest sand dune created by the force of a tsunami. The disastrous spectacle after the tidal bore at Kamaishi Town. Immediately after the disaster at Kamaishi, it was impossible to distinguish the roads, town, and fields. Destroyed houses were turned on their sides. Before the disaster, the only roads ran parallel to the ocean, and the people and houses were crowded together. The roads leading to the mountains were narrow, making them difficult to use when taking refuge. In order to restore the downtown area, which had been completely destroyed, a plan was made to reconstruct the roads and improve the town. Since it was located in a low-lying area, however, and they did not construct any sort of protection on the seaside of the town, 37 years later, the town was once again annihilated by another natural disaster, the Showa Great Sanriku Tsunami. This is a set of slide photographs from the collection stored at the Sendai Municipal Museum. The price of 3 yen for one set of 12 is from a time when rice was 8 sen per sho. Sho equals approximately 1.8 liters. A skilled carpenter earned 50 sen per day. A school principal earned from 30 to 50 yen per month, and the Minister of the Interior earned 500 yen per month.